And you're back tuned in with the Prowl with Kev and Ace here on HPUR The Sound. Phone number for the station, 336-841-9380. We are more than blessed and happy to welcome in John Buccigross to our show, an ESPN Sports Center anchor. He's been at ESPN since 1996, so a 16-year veteran. Just signed a contract to be with the program through 2017, so he'll be a 21-year veteran following that time. So, Mr. Buccigross, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You bet.
So first, I want to ask you: you are kind of living the little boy's dream that that guys like Kevin and myself and a lot of other kids dream about. When, at least with Kevin and I, we found out we weren't athletic enough to do sports collegiately or athletically like that, but we found out that we can talk about sports. And it's something you've been doing, since well before 1996, but especially working for ESPN. So what's that been like being at ESPN since 1996?
It's been great. It really has been. Like you said, ESPN came along when I was 13 years old, so it was really a revelation when it came on. It was MTV and it was ESPN. I was a big music fan, still am, and so to have music and sports, two networks like that are totally devoted to both. I mean, as we know, MTV is no longer devoted to music, but there was a time when it was, and so to have those two networks kind of come on the scene at the same time was really unbelievable, and just really life changing in a lot of ways to have that kind of focus. And so from there, it just things just kind of. I went to pick a university in a small school in Ohio to go to school, to had a TV station and a radio station and a school newspaper, and just kind of just really enjoyed the whole process. And so I just kind of woke up every day and enjoyed what I was doing. And one day I woke up next to Chris Berman.
That's a pretty cool guy to wake up to. So you've been there now for, we just said, 16 years. Who has been one of the people at the station that you have worked really closely with and have developed kind of that best relationship with, and that you can lean on when you have problems at the station or when you just need someone to go to with for advice?
Well, first of all, I do want to make clear I've actually never woken up next to Chris Berman. I want to make that perfectly clear. But I was speaking metaphorically. But actually, I made most of my best relationships when I first got to ESPN, because there was a group of us who all came in together. ESPN News that started in '96, and that gave us a lot of us an opportunity to get in the door, because they needed 10 to 15 people right away to get that network going. At that time, ESPN probably hired 1 or 2 people a year to be on air. Of course, but then they started ESPN2, and that gave people like Reese Davis and Stuart Scott and Susie Culver. There was a little group who came in with ESPN2, which was good for them. And then ESPN News came on a few years later. I think it was 3 years later. I think ESPN2 came on 1993, and that gave more of us an opportunity. It was kind of like an expansion team almost, and so that was nice. That gave us, so all of us with that group who came in together kind of bonded, and it was like being on the AAA team. We wanted to make the Major League team, like do Sports Center and things like that, because we knew that ESPN News wasn't in a lot of homes and didn't get the best resources. So those people I bonded with the most, and unfortunately, a lot of them have moved on to other jobs. They either weren't re-signed or they were unhappy with their role and they were impatient. They wanted to go somewhere where maybe they had a bigger title, even if the network obviously wasn't as big as ESPN. That stuff that really mattered to me. I just kind of kept just showing up and a little more patient than maybe some other people. So I didn't mind doing things that seemed small or whatever. I just enjoyed being in the building and trying to get better every day. And the patience certainly has paid off for me. Most of those people moved on, and I haven't quite really reestablished relationships with other people as close as I did then. So I still have, enjoy being around the people there, but I don't see them outside of work. Like, we used to do everything together, that first group that came at ESPN News.
We're talking to John Buccigross here on HPUR The Sound. You listen to The Prowl with Kev and Ace. So you kind of started at ESPN, like you said, with doing ESPN News, but you really got your name through NHL Tonight, which was the main hockey show, and obviously you have a huge passion for hockey. That's your favorite sport. Can you talk a little bit about that show and where your passion for hockey came from?
Yeah, NHL Tonight was a great opportunity for me to create a niche at ESPN because obviously hockey is a bit of a niche sport, and with ESPN being so big and growing nonstop, even back then, even today, it was good to have something that a few people were really able to do that didn't have the knowledge or the passion for, and so when I got that opportunity to fill in. And really, the people on the show were just really blown away by my passion for the sport, how much I really liked it, how much I knew about the past and knew about the players and knew about the nuances. And so they kind of did all my lobbying for me, and I was able to get the full-time job the following year after being a fill-in. And so, like I said, that gave me a great niche to have my own show, to do that 5 nights a week. And then eventually I would start writing a hockey column on ESPN.com, which I still do, and which is now morphed into video and podcasts and things that have evolved like it has evolved, like so many things have evolved in media and ESPN. So, to me, hockey was just one of the other sports I grew up with. My dad did grow up in Boston, and he, certainly skated in the winter and played little high school hockey. And at the time, the Boston Bruins had Bobby Orr, and they were hugely popular in Boston. They were the most popular team by far, and they won a couple Stanley Cups, and they had a lot of young guys who just really took the whole place by storm, men and women. And so it was really a phenomenon. It was as big as Red Sox Nation was the last, not so much now, but certainly from 04 to 07, that same kind of feeling that Red Sox fans, it was Bruins then. And so my dad was caught up, even though he raised us in Pennsylvania and Ohio. We would listen to games and once in a while go to Pittsburgh because we always lived kind of near Pittsburgh, so we'd go see a Penguin game. And like I said, to me it was just NBA, NFL, and baseball and hockey. They're all kind of the same. There was no difference to me. They're always I looked at them the same, or other people maybe look at hockey kind of like a freak sport or a very niche sport. To me, it was just another sport that I love to watch.
And I think I read somewhere that you actually got the chance, correct me if I'm wrong, to play golf with Bobby Orr.
I've never actually golfed with Bobby Orr. I've golfed with Ray Bork.
Okay, yeah, that I read something like that, and that you wanted to shoot a 77 or something like that, and you 3-putted the last hole.
Yeah, no, what happened was, you got the story wrong, Sparky. What's up with your reading comprehension? How'd you get in High Point? I want to see the records.
It's just because he's tall, we let him in.
What happened was, I was playing with Ray Bork, whose uniform number was 77.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, so I was in the last hole, and I was able to get on the green in 2, which was going to make it pretty easy to do that, because then I could just 3-putt on purpose to shoot a 77. So I would just kind of hit the first one, maybe 3 or 4 feet short, and then just tap the next one maybe a foot, and then just have a little 1-foot tap and shoot my 77. But what happened was, as I was over the putt, the first putt, the initial putt, I hit it, and it was one of those hit putts that when you hit, as soon as you hit it, you're like, oh my goodness, I know that's going to go in. Now, my situation, I didn't want it to go in. So as the putt is making, it's one of those real fast putts, downhill putts. And as I'm putting, I'm like, oh no, don't go. And of course, Bork's there watching, laughing. So I kind of explained to him what I was hoping to do. As we came up the fairway, I said, I'd like to shoot a 77 with you. But instead, the ball just kept rolling and rolling, and sure enough went right in the hole for a 75. And so that was one of my lessons as I wrapped up the column. Anybody can Google Buccigross, Bork, and 77, and that column will probably come up. And it was one of the great lessons of golf that, the harder you try, the worse you're really going to do. You're actually better off not trying sometimes and just relaxing and just, go with the flow. Don't think about making it, just thinking about just putting it. And it went in. So, that was a great day. And I've created a relationship with Ray because we both like golf as well. So that's another great lesson is try to learn to play golf because you meet great people playing golf. And if you're terrible, they won't play with you again. But if you're good, they'll play with you again.
So I guess what I can take from that is I should start trying to aim to shoot a lot higher, and then maybe I'll end up shooting lower like you did. So you aimed high and you shot low. So that's maybe what I should take away from that.
Right, and in real life, I do the opposite. I've always aimed very low, but I'm still able to get the ESPN.
Oh, Mr. Butcher, you've had the opportunity to meet so many great people in this industry. You talked about Ray Bork, and you played with Wayne Gretzky. And kind of, what is that like? At what point do you ever like sit there and think, "Man, I just interviewed Les Miles. I know you've talked with him before, being that 3:00 show. When does that little like joy and elation ever go away when you're talking to these great figureheads in all realms of sports?"
I never really looked at it. I mean, I think people are different nowadays, especially people your age and younger people. Fame seems to be so important. Famous people seem to be so important. And when I grew up, it wasn't people like you didn't watch sports. I guess I didn't consider sports people famous, like movie stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And certainly now they really. I understand that sports, especially when Michael Jordan came along and started doing movies and TV commercials, that he became almost like that movie star famous. And now we kind of see that once in a while, every now and then as well. Tiger Woods and people like that. Now LeBron. But I don't come from it from that angle, and so to me, they're just regular people. And plus, a lot of these people that you talked about, they're my age. There might be little Ray Bork and Ray Gretzky are slightly older.
Mm-hmm.
I think Les Miles is maybe slightly older. But those kinds of guys that I interview, whether they're my age or slightly older or slightly younger, it doesn't really. I'm never in awe. And now also in the noon to 3:00 show you talked about, I was able to interview people like Calvin Johnson. Vince Vaughn came on our show once. Again, Vince Vaughn is my age. Calvin Johnson, I'm 20 years older than Calvin Johnson, so I'm not going to be intimidated by him. I know that he doesn't, like you guys don't know anything. You're young guys.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I mean,
why should I be intimidated by you dumb guys? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. No, we wouldn't expect you to. It wouldn't be right if you were. But
that's right. Because I know when I was your age, I probably knew half of what you know. So I was really dumb.
Oh gosh.
So so that would be a bit of advice too. Is don't get intimidated by your subject. Your job is to interview when you're interviewing them. Now, obviously, in a social setting like and when I'm playing golf with Wayne Gretzky, I'm not intimidated because I'm better than Wayne Gretzky at golf. So
there you go. Nice. Hey, it never helps to be confident. That's for sure. And that's a great point.
So, right. And so when you interview these people, you shouldn't be in awe. You shouldn't be really elated either because it's your job. It's my job to interview Les Miles. It's my job to talk about the fact they put number 2 on their ring last year, and number 2 in the nation instead of just SEC champs or whatever. And I kind of told them I thought that was kind of dumb, and kind of bush league that they would do that. And so your job is to get information and engage and talk to them, and they're just normal people like you are, and they don't deserve to be treated like a king or a queen. I mean, kings and queens don't deserve to be treated like a king and a queen. So, you treat people with respect, certainly, and you're kind and you have good manners, and just like you should in normal life. But you shouldn't be afraid of your subject. Because first of all, if you're afraid, you're not going to do a very good job interviewing him. You're going to look afraid. You're not going to ask tough questions or the proper questions, and you're not going to look composed and in control. And like I said, it's a fine line because you don't want to look like a jerk. You don't want some people go the other way and they look silly and foolish, and they try to put on an attitude and stuff like that. You can be a nice, normal, kind person while you interview without being totally nervous because they have some status in life, and you shouldn't look at them as above you in any way.
Once again, we're talking to John Buccigross from ESPN, and he co-hosts SportsCenter. Before we let you go, Mr. Buccigross, we just want to ask you, we obviously know hockey is your main passion. What are your thoughts on the current state of the NHL? And they look like they're headed towards a lockout, and just give us your opinion on this whole situation.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer, that's for sure. I think September 15th is when this CBA comes to an end. So obviously we're going to have, that day will come without an agreement for sure, because that's when both sides really get serious and try to figure something out. I do think that if there is a lockout, it won't be much longer than a month. I think this time the fans are really on the players' side. I think the league and Gary Bettman are starting to grasp that a little bit, and I think that will help bring up on a deal quicker. They don't want to cancel the Winter Classic this year. It's the Maple Leafs and the Red Wings, the outdoor game the NHL has held the last few years. This year it's in Michigan at the Big House where Michigan Wolverines play football, and so that's a big deal for the league. And they don't want to postpone and cancel that. And so all those things in mind, I really do think it'll be a short lockout. I think the NHL and the owners are going to grasp how the fans are really upset this time, and pretty much universally on the players' side, despite their millionaire status. So it is disappointing. You want things to get going and build a momentum and not have any interruptions, but I do think it'll be short-lived, and once that puck does drop for the first time, and you forget about everything, and life is normal again.
Yeah, and as we know, sports fans everywhere, we don't like to see sports held up like that, and certainly I know NHL fans carry some of the most passion and pageantry of anybody, and so you hate to see a fan base like that have to suffer through any other kind of lockout situation that goes on.
So how does the High Point hockey team look this year?
Oh, I mean, we're solid. I mean, there's of all the snow that we're going to get on the ground here, it's going to be amazing. We're going to have to. I mean, we could have you down here as a celebrity coach if you'd like. I mean, we would love it.
I mean, you guys have so many brick buildings down there. I think why can't we just put up a rink?
I mean, hey, I can mention we can freeze over a couple of the ponds here, and we could go to town if you want to. I mean, I can do it. We can get it done.
We can start a D1 hockey, a D1 men's and women's team. We got enough.
That would be. I mean, that would be awesome. That would be great. And before we let you go again, we want to thank you for coming on. But you said you're a music guy. So what's on your iPod right now that would intrigue our listeners?
Well, I have a lot on my iPod as my daughter Mallory, who attends High Point University, as she would attest, because she's actually got a very eclectic iPod too. So I can jump around all over the place. I was actually watching Breaking Bad last night.
Very nice. Very nice.
And they had a song by Nat King Cole, which I'm sure a very small portion of the viewership could actually identify it was Nat King Cole. He sang the Chestnuts Roast on the Open Fire.
Christmas song, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was the Pick Yourself Up, Brush Yourself Off, Start All Over Again. He was singing that. I actually haven't heard that version by him, which I was kind of excited about. But he's one of my all-time favorites. It's like I think I tweeted that last night, that of all the people who watched Breaking Bad, there wasn't a bigger Nat King Cole fan than me. So, but I can go from Nat King Cole to I just bought the new Passion Pit record, which I really enjoyed that.
Well, that's great. It's nice to know that.
And Def Leppard, I'll go to Def Leppard and AC/DC, and then I can jump over to even a John Mayer. I can appreciate a John Mayer.
Ooh,
and REM.
We'll have to start a music show and have you come on there as well, because I mean you've got knowledge in all sorts of areas, and that's great. I mean, we love it. So
Ben Folds, the Ben Folds Five, we're gonna put a new record together. They got some Southern roots,
And I'm a Southern kid, so I appreciate the Southern side of life, and so I love all you Northern people as well. But us Southerners, we do it right sometimes. I guess we get it right every once in a while, I suppose.
My redneck past keeps nipping at my heels. That's a great Ben Folds line.
Very good. Mr. Buccigross, we want to thank you very much for coming on the show today, and we appreciate you being open and willing to talk to a couple of novice kids like us, and really take time out of your day to talk to us and give us some knowledge. We really do appreciate that.
Great. And your show's called The Prowl?
The Prowl, yes, sir. I believe you're friends with Kevin. Kevin can send you that link, and I might have to friend you myself if you'll accept my friend request, of course, on Facebook. I mean, you'd be the coolest guy on my wall, that's for sure.
Wow. Well, you've heard the guy with the weird ESPN voice, on ESPN. He talks like this. You're listening to The Prowl, High Point Radio.
Hey, if we can set that up, that that might be the second coolest thing to happen to our show outside of you coming on. But
or you get one of those monster truck commercial guys to do it. Well, you're listening to the Prowl High Point Radio.
we are going to get that done. The next time you come on, Mr. Buccigross, we're going to have that, and we're going to say, given to us by John Buccigross, and we're going to make sure that we highlight you there. But again, it's been a lot of fun for us, and we hope if you'll like to come on again, we'd love to have you on the show again sometime, sir.
That'd be good. Well, when I come down to visit my daughter, maybe I'll come in the studio and we'll do a live appearance.
That would be awesome, Mr. Buccigross. So we'll plan on that.
We can hold a telethon or something, raise some money for you guys, and then we'll really blow it out big. That
would be great. And so thank you so much, Mr. Buccigross. You have a good day. We appreciate it, sir.
Peace out. Booyah.
Thank you. This has been The Prowl with Kev and Ace. When we come back, just had John Buccigross on the show. We'll continue our AFC preview show. This is HPUR The Sound.